And like,
but Australia, is Australia really a melting pot the way America is?
Would you like the mic?
I think as I'm Bengali, and obviously I'm a Bengali Indian, and I moved to Australia in 2002 following my Kiwi husband, and I can only talk from my experience and from what I have seen. Australia and Melbourne has definitely been a melting pot where everyone's from everywhere. There's a lot of opportunity, new friends. When you leave your old home, you make an effort to make your new home, which is what I think my Melbourne is about as well. So I would say that it is a melting pot.
Yeah,
I'll ask this to Ani. On behalf of all the others as well.
Yeah.
Did you start with your own stories? Did you bring your stories to the board, or was it given to you by the producer?
so it was actually a very interesting process, the entire filmmaking. It's 4 directors from India going to Melbourne and working with an entirely Australian cast and crew, including writers. The story, which came from them, based mostly on real life stories, all of them from people's experiences. And like, I was the first
So
one
all
to
the
shoot.
characters are Melbourne
Based,
real-life
yes,
characters?
yes, they're based on real life characters, and there were many stories because it was a whole process of almost like a way of to workshop of people working from Indian film industry and Australian film industry, and so there were many stories that came, and we went through the process, and this Nondini, the story that I finally worked on, was something that struck a chord, and then worked closely with the writer to develop it, and each of the directors that did that with writers for their stories, and that's how the film came together. We all worked with Australian writers.
Rima, we are all well aware of your success as an independent filmmaker. My congratulations to you, to the films you've made and the way the trajectory you've had so far. What is the link, what is the advantage of a hyperlink anthology? Just a second, please. আপনাদের ভীষণ ইম্পর্টেন্ট কথাগুলো তাহলে আপনারা মাইকে বলুন, ওনারা একটু শুনতে পাবেন। Sorry.
No, I loved it.
No, I wanted to know, is that you worked on your own story, your own players. Now in a hyperlink, you're kind of marching with others, right, left, you have to coordinate. So what is the advantage, what are the advantages of an anthology of 4 different films?
First, I want to thanks to Meetu because I was one of the chosen one. In the beginning, I was just wondering why she chose me. But I already had that experience. By the time I was in doing this film, My Melbourne, I did anthology, 2 anthologies before. So I have experience.
Which are?
One is Jia Jhanke, he produced. It was like, it's a BRICS country. So I did the one short film from India.
Okay.
Yes, that I did. And also from a Mumbai production house, I also did an anthology. So at least I was not, that fear was not there. But surely this was the film for me, like out of my country, first film. So there were things, and also because it's about disability and our caste coming from authentic individuals from deaf community. So that was the, I think, challenging part. And having a crew was helping only, because when I worked, maybe because of last 7-8 years I have been working autonomously, that it is like a practice and practice, lot of shoot. Because of that, I think somehow I have that confidence when how to make it film in 5 days or 6 days. But because of
this disciplined way of
right
production.
because I shoot myself, then I edit myself. So somehow when I'm this kind of a challenging environment, in 5
So how
days,
many hats do you wear?
Here in my Melbourne, no, my earlier. There are two, like from spot boy to everything. Yeah. So this was actually when it is a luxury for me when I'm having a crew. It is very relaxing for me when I have a crew. I just can focus on direction. So it was a luxury. Only thing I had to be very mindful because in India it works differently, but when outside, especially was in Melbourne, the deaf communities, they are very strong. You need to be very sensible. How to take care of their emotions. So that was the challenging part.
Rahul, we are here on behalf of Kabir. I am a little disappointed, I must admit. I was in the jury when Kabul Express got the National Award. So he's been a kind of pet boy. And I was hoping to ask him, he's made films, Kabul Express. He's here, Sitara, the segment he directs. The girl is from Afghanistan. I wanted to know, which obviously you can answer, but from there I want to go on to another question which I'll ask. The first part was his Afghan connection. Why does he veer towards Afghanistan? You probably can answer that, or you won't. Or you want to pass that up?
I think it's best if Kanisa answers that question and
someone
pass
else.
that. Yeah.
Okay. So the other question is, this is to all the directors. I'm waiting for the other gentleman, the star. When you were making the film, did you think you were making an Indian film, or did you think, in terms of audiences, say in America or Europe or elsewhere, were you kind of alienating yourself from the Indian mindset?
I think it's very interesting that you asked this question, because My Melbourne is a film that on screen and off screen reflects the same ideology of diversity and inclusion. So this is a film made in Australia by Indians with a cast which varies from around the world. And it's for every human being, I would say, not just a person of a nationality, because that's what the true essence of diversity and inclusion is. It's that all of us are similar at heart. So for every human being who wants and has a need to belong, I think it's that story that we want to tell. And it's for Indian audiences, it's for Australian audiences, it's for Afghan audiences, it's for European audiences, every human being who wants to belong. And that's what My Melbourne
Afghan
is.
audiences, you said, you really think this will be screened in Afghanistan?
No, there's a big Afghan community in Australia itself.
Okay,
and
yes.
that's where Sitara
Yes.
is from. There's a big migrant community that has come to Australia, and we've tried to tell that story via Sitara when you see the film. And it's a true story. So it's her own story. She's in and as Sitara. We did extensive workshops with her. And we really did a lot of research. Neetuji spent so much time with the Afghan community in Australia, and she empowered them to tell that story. I think that's what's important about My
That's
Melbourne.
extremely important.
It's about empowering each and every community, each and every person to tell that special story. And all thanks to Neetuji for that.
My exposure me to, for your information, to Australia was 96. And I went from Queensland to Sydney to Canberra to Melbourne to Perth, and virtually, I think, except the southern tip. And Melbourne, that's why my first question was, because Melbourne, many of you know and some of you may not, that Melbourne is really a melting pot, and because of the student community particularly. Melbourne has a very large university with a very large student community. And this is a fact that lots of people have migrated. Greece, Poland, Indonesia, China, from all over the world, Bangladesh, India, large numbers have migrated. Many have got, they've integrated. Only when a director tells a story, he has a perspective. When 4 directors are telling a story, I mean, it's like a sweater you're weaving with 4 different colors. How did you work it out?
I think a sweater.
Because it's not only 4 different communities, 4 different visions, 4 different mindset. Yeah.
So I think sweater with 4 colors looks beautiful also. But having said that, I'd just like to quickly also say that, when you were asking about working beyond, for the Indian audience, like for example, Nondini, the actor from Nondini is Orko Das from Bangladesh, migrant. It's a lot of it is in Bengali, the language itself, Which,
yeah, I was looking up some of the trailers because I'm also waiting to watch it with the audience. But I realized that your character is asked.
And just like Rahul mentioned, I feel the stories that we are telling is relatable everywhere, because whether it's in Australia or here, like for example, the queer community is still in different spaces, in different ways, still struggling for acceptance. It might vary in degrees, but it's still there. So I think people always connect that way.
I just want to add one point. I just wanted to add one small point. Is just like what Rahul said and what you're also saying and what Tommy and Jamila said. The whole point of the film is storytelling, inclusive storytelling. And if you have a story, it can relate to anyone. It can touch anyone. Language is not a barrier. The cinematic language is not a barrier, and I think that's what we have tried with My Melbourne, and that's why we don't have like a Dari Afghani girl talking in English at home. She's talking in Dari because we are all used to reading subtitles now. So we have kept that authentic lens is very important to us. Both all the stories are from lived experience. 2 of the characters, which is Sitara and Rima's character Raina, both of them they are in some ways playing themselves. Raina, who's a deaf girl who loves to dance, she is a deaf girl who's a dancer. Similarly, Sitara, like Rahul said, is Sitara. So I think that authentic storytelling, inclusive storytelling is a huge driver and part of our film.
I'm going to ask a question which you are free or not, free to answer or not to answer. You've chosen Ani's is a marginalized character from the gay community. Yours is from a visually challenged. Deaf. I'm sorry, orally challenged. Sitara is a migrant, a woman from Taliban, escaping from Taliban country. And the 4th one is
Gender, which is a woman who's newly married and moved to
a newly married woman. Extramarital? No.
She's just a newly married girl who's moved to
Who strikes the ball. Okay. So I was wondering if there was any charter to do films focusing on these deprivations, or was it just the human empathy?
it's not really deprivation. So the 4 pillars of diversity, like Rahul said, this film celebrates diversity and inclusion. It celebrates all the differences that makes us who we are. So the 4 pillars of diversity traditionally are disability, gender, sexuality and race. So that's what My Melbourne is about. The gender film is done by Imtiaz, the sexuality film is done by Onir, the disability film is done by Reema, and the race film has been done by Kabir and Rahul. So it's a very straightforward thought of celebrating that diversity in one film.
Lovely. I know that everybody is waiting to ask questions, and I should not be speaking, my doctor says. I can see someone who's tearing at the leashes. Okay, go on. You get the first question. Your mic. You need a mic?
No, my voice is loud.
Speak a little louder.
My question is a takeoff on what Dr. Sengupta said earlier. 4 directors with totally distinct mindsets. And don't you think that with taking this in mind, don't you think there may be, as you see, 4 directors have different mindsets? Don't you think it's likely to be a directorial clash?
No, as a matter of fact, it was the best thing. It was so collaborative. I think they all brought the best out of each other. And it was such a joy. And the best thing for the crew like us is all 4 of them had such distinct different styles that we really learned a lot and we all grew together.
And I think there is certain things in terms of how we look at life and inclusion and diversity that is where we all have the same outlook. Secondly, I think what's also very important is we had the same crew, working. So there was a conscious effort to keep a texture which is same. Plus, in all the films, the Melbourne tram, plays an important part of the narrative. And it kind of binds us together. There are characters which overlap from one film to another.
And to just complete, I think the most important thing about diversity is to accept all perspectives and not necessarily say that one perspective is right or another perspective is wrong. So with 4 directors having 4 distinct voices, we're trying to show that every perspective has its unique voice and we celebrate that perspective. And we're not necessarily saying that this perspective is better, there's no comparison, and that's what diversity and inclusion at its core means, right?
So because I haven't seen the film, I have one question. Do they all come together in the end?
You have to watch. You have to watch.
You please give your name first and then ask the question and preferably direct it to one of us.
আমি এটা জোরেই করছি প্রশ্নটা আমার অনিলের কাছে প্রশ্ন সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের দেশে এখনো অবধি সেক্স শব্দটায় ভয় রয়েছে এবং সেক্সুয়ালিটিটা ভারতীয়রা বোঝে না তবে বুঝতে চায় না আমার যেটা মনে হয় এবং আমার বক্তব্য হচ্ছে তোমার দীর্ঘ যে ছবিগুলো তুমি করেছো এখনো অবধি প্রত্যেকটার মধ্যে তোমার সেক্সুয়ালিটি বলছি না ছবিটা সেক্সুয়ালিটি পোর্ট্রে করে প্রত্যেকটা ধাপে আমার বক্তব্য হচ্ছে এই যে মেলবোর্ন ছবিটার মধ্যে তোমার যেই ধারণা বা তুমি যেটা ভাব যেটা তুমি সিনেমাটা আনতে চেয়েছো সেটাতে কোথাও মনে হয় যে এখন এই সমাজে দাঁড়িয়ে এবং যেই দেশে আমরা বাস করি তারা এখন সেই বোঝদার বিষয়টা এসছে আমাদের মধ্যে মানে আর উই সো লিটারেট এনাফ দ্যাট এই সেক্সুয়ালিটি বা এই বিষয়টা বোঝার জন্য
I think if you look around, theoretically 10% of the population is supposed to be queer, right? People might not have words, which a lot of these words are from outside, but they know themselves, their identity, and they will, relate to the emotions. And I feel that a dialogue এখন যদি আগে দেখতে কলকাতা is the first city যেখানে প্রাইড মার্চ হয়েছিল 1990-তে and এখন ছোট ছোট শহরে হচ্ছে ডায়লগ হচ্ছে it is not that সবাই উঠে পড়ে suddenly accept করবে কিন্তু ওই প্রসেসটা তো is through dialogues and cinema is an important tool to create the dialogue and that's why we keep making these films so that there is more conversation.
And also
Also, just to add, sorry. Just to add,
Did you give your name? Please give your name when you put the questions. Yeah, better.
Just to add, I hope you're watching the film.
Yes, I will.
Yeah. So when you see the father, the character of the father is a Bengali father, traditional Bengali father. He's representative in some ways of society, correct? And that's how, and you see that how the film flows, and it's very relatable. That's the beauty of life and our film as well.
Hello, my name is Bilal, and I want to ask, my question is to all the filmmakers. There has been a subtle discrimination against the people of the third world when it comes to the popular narrative of the foreign cinema, and they're sidelined by the hero's friends or associates by something like that. So what do you think about...
In cinema? In Australian cinema? Which is different from Hollywood cinema.
Western cinema, the classical Hollywood format, I'm talking about everything. And they have been sidelined, the people of the third world, they have been sidelined. So my question is, do you think the eminent filmmakers like you guys are coming together will change the landscape of representation of sexual, cultural or ideological minorities?
I am so glad you asked this question, because a big point of making My Melbourne was exactly this, representation and us telling our own stories. You know, you're right, why are we always playing the best friend? Why are we not the lead in our own stories? Which is the reason why My Melbourne was born, and why we are going to make more films like this, and which is the reason why some of the top directors in India are also supporting this vision.
Yeah, I also feel that all the stories are also told from the migrant perspective, which is very, very important, that what is the gauge, how you're looking at the stories. And I think it's a small step towards that, and I hope that more and more with, the presence of Indian cinema, like today, we all can celebrate that Olive we imagine light is going everywhere. So slowly I feel that representation of Indian cinema the way it should be, or South Asian cinema, is going to happen. It's a small step and it can only get better.
I think they have to present the film, is it?
Yes. But I think Imtiaz is
So,
that's what...
just one more question. একসঙ্গে দুজনে ধাক্কাধাক্কি করে বলে দাও। নামটা বলুন।
My Melbourne, my India কতটা কানেক্ট করতে পারবে?
My Melbourne যে গল্পগুলো, all the stories of My Melbourne is absolutely relatable to my India.
Hi Imtiaz, most welcome to the screening, to the
Screening only, and the media.
Screening is also waiting for you.
You sit here. Imtiaz.
You had a roadshow this morning.
No, yes, he's been doing a lot of media and all of that. So that's
Let's hear you. Nobody wants to hear any of us.
Hi, good evening. I came here to see all of you, and I'm very happy to see Reema join us. She missed the tram ride. Fantastic to be a part of KIFF, and thankful also that they gave us a chance. This is a very special film for all of us, because this, I think, is the first time that any of us have done an anthology. And 4 films, all different stories, yet strung together by the general theme of inclusive living, or simply living together. We got a chance to work with a very unique group, a crew, which I think is the most inclusive way of working I have ever participated in. I'm sure that all of you must have said all these things, yeah? Sorry. It's lovely to be in Calcutta. We've already gone to Russell, Dava, Peter Cat.
Melbourne to Mumbai. Mumbai was the first stop. Don't forget we are jealous.
You're jealous of Mumbai, I'm jealous of all of you that live in Calcutta. You eat the food I am dreaming of.
Everybody here is waiting with questions, but we're not going to let all of them create a chorus. Okay, you haven't got a chance. One question, very brief, give your introduction.
This is Orko Prabhu. I'm from Federation of Film Societies. My question is for Imtiaz sir. अगर आप मान लीजिए आई गेस आप लोग पहली बार एक एंथोलॉजी के लिए पार्ट मतलब आप लोग एक साथ डायरेक्ट कर रहे हो तो मतलब आप लोगों ने स्टोरी कैसे चूज किया मतलब कोई 4 स्टोरी आपके पास आया आप लोगों ने एक
This was the first question, so you are repeating. This, she has already mentioned that the stories came out of live characters. If anybody has an original question, please.
Who wrote these stories?
The screenwriter.
Imtiaz this side. Imtiaz is showing from India.
Just a second. The answers coming from
we have heard a little about all the 4 main major characters in the 4 anthology films. So there is a one fifth character, City Melbourne. So is it like the one Melbourne is the universe, or it will be shown as the multiverse of Melbourne?
Multiverse of what?
Multiverse of Melbourne. Melbourne the universe or
Melbourne is
multiverse?
I think Meetu should answer this question.
Is Melbourne a microcosm?
Multiverse.
Or
Melbourne is the universe.
Melbourne is the universe.
My English is not so strong, so I'm not
Oh, can't say that.
Melbourne is the multiverse. Yes. What do you think?
That's the title.
No, I feel that it's also the universe in which the films are set. But it's also the multiverse because there are various kind of stories or various verses of the same identity, which is Melbourne.
So would you say, in brief, it's a kind of mirror situation where the world sees itself and the mirror is showing a mirror to the world?
I think the reason why people watch movies is to see their own stories being represented in the stories in the movies. I think the same has happened here. For instance, the film that Rima has made, it deals with disability. It deals with somebody trying to fit into a society, into a group of an accepted group of people. I think when anybody sees it, the fact is that you might not have the same ability situation, but you will still relate to the journey of trying to belong. So this is how I feel that it's a mirror to what society is.
I have a question for them. How different was it directing My Melbourne from Jab We Met?
Madam, have you been a school teacher sometime?
Always, since I was 5.
That's right.
What I meant is, Jab We Met had such a lot of music, and with what our audiences are used to, and it's a classical way of narration in India through music.
So this film was a very different experience for me also because firstly the story was not mine. I suspect the story was originally conceived by me too. And also I was helming it, mentoring many unique young emerging filmmakers in Melbourne. I didn't personally direct this film. It was directed by Arif, who is going to join us soon after he gets the biryani from Arsalan. But it was a very different experience.
Imtiaz, this is Shobit from India Films. I would stretch a bit to what Ram said, that you are known for telling different kinds of romantic stories with the language is very different. Now, how did you adapt to the changes of the style of romantic films from the time of Jab We Met to Tamasha to very recent Amar Singh Champa?
See, this question really doesn't have to do with the topic of conversation over here. So I think every story has its unique. I don't try to make any film different from any other. I just try to firstly understand what the story itself is so that it can be more of itself. So, I just tried to write that story with honesty, and yes, whenever the time came, I thought, let me not do anything that I've done before.
And does it, you know, you have also worked with the biggest superstar also. Does it change your style, or did you have to take a different approach while directing superstar in a film in your scheme of things?
This is outside Melbourne, but we'll let it pass.
I have just two back-to-back questions.
Combine them into one.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Sir,
No, we have to let ma'am choose.
your last film was the OTT release.
You've got one question earlier. There's one gentleman who has a lot of chance. Let him I'm sorry. Let him finish. Yeah? Oh, sorry.
Your last film was a OTT release. And what are you planning about this film? Are you going to make it a OTT or a theatre?
This is not an OTT release. This will also be featuring in theatres, and but on OTTs as well. So we are talking about it. No, it is not an alternate. I think for filmmakers it is even better that there are multiple venues available that we can release our films in.
Just last, no, let him just finish. Only
my name is briefly. Why is choose Melbourne?
Okay. Oh, you know why? Because they are the ones that manufacture the trams.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought, like the trams we see in Calcutta, where are they made? All in Melbourne. So that is exactly why we chose it. In fact, that is the reason why Meetu got married in Australia and started living there. That one day she can, for the trams, for the love of trams, that one day we will make this film and come here and ride in a tram.
That was the first question, in fact, which I asked. So please don't repeat. And they have to be in the theatre.
Sara Express
also manufactures trams.
Please be relevant to the topic. We'll have to hurry up because he has a presentation up there.
This is the last question. You know, we all have to stick to the schedule.
Bimal Roy. Old ones. And Ray. And Gotov. I have a mic. But you're just having the side. But Abul, you'd say. And also see if they want somebody.
They're all waiting to hear you. Everybody wants to hear you.
Your question is over?
Side show.
No, today you have had your go. Please. And speak louder.
There is always a poetry, or there is a connection between cinema and poetry. Do you follow Bengali poets?
Oh yeah, little bit. See, the traditional, the old ones, like Tagore, and but it's not as though I can read Bangla. It is only when some Bengali friends are kind enough to tell me. I love poetry and I love the artistic thought of many writers and poets of Bengal.
Do you have any intention to use it in poetry?
I hope so. I make an appeal to all creative Bengali literature people that if there is something very interesting, breakthrough and relevant for today's time, try to reach it to me. I'm interested. Something traditional, but something of value. Don't worry about whether it will be a hit, whether it will be popular. If you feel it is valuable, you can use it. To me too or me. We are really interested. I feel that I don't understand why up till now, suddenly, for the last 20, 30 years, the literature and the artistry of the eastern side of the country is a bit ignored. Although I feel that this is the more creative and the more artistic side of the country. So I feel that I want to be there when this side of the country's art re-emerges.
What your take on Bengali cinema right now?
Just, you've had many questions.
Yeah, ma'am, this is
Can
my
I
last
ask
question.
a question about the last minutes, please? can I ask a question? What made you, what prompted you to choose that subject? Is it the life of Amar Singh Chamkila?
I think the life of Amar Singh Chamkila was very relevant to any time because of the presence of conflict and the simultaneous presence of art. It was a unique love story between an artist and the art. So I wanted to tell that story.
So please everybody, stop in 3 seconds.
पहले से 4 डायरेक्टर थे और अलग-अलग देश थे, अलग-अलग।
जोर से बोलिए जरा।
आपने भी क्या सोच के साथ आप इनके साथ उनके?
मैं क्योंकि मीतू जी ने बोला कि एक कहानी है जो मुझे करनी चाहिए और मैं उनको ट्रस्ट करता हूँ और थोड़ा बहुत इनसे डरता भी हूँ, तो इसलिए मैंने सोचा कि वो कहानी मुझे बनानी चाहिए।
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ ओपिनियन हुआ क्या?
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ ओपिनियन तो 1,00,000 बार होता है एक फिल्म में और वो तो होना जरूरी भी है। कुछ चीजों में हुआ होगा बट ओवरऑल जो है वो प्यार इतना ज्यादा था कि उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ा।
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट नहीं हो तो ड्रामा नहीं तो फिल्म नहीं। Okay, so I have to please
thank you very much.
Thank you to all of you and thank you to all of you.